In December of 2011, I was 28 years old. I was just a typical girl. I had a good career as a nurse, and I was ready for the next step of my life, which was hopefully get married, have children soon. But I contracted bacterial meningitis. Although at first I had no idea what it was, I just thought it was the typical flu. 24 hours after the onset of my symptoms, I started to feel really sick. By the time I got to the hospital, which was 5 minutes from where I lived at the time, within that 5-minute span, I couldn't walk anymore. So when I first got to the ER, I was alert, although I was very, I was screaming. I was just hysterical because I couldn't feel my legs and my feet. They were extremely cold. And that's when they put me in a medically induced coma. And I ended up waking up 15 days later. The doctor explained to me that I contracted bacterial meningitis. And that's when he told me, basically, we're going to have to amputate your limbs in order for you to survive. I was in the hospital for about a total of 5 months. I suffered 2 mild heart attacks. I had a blood clot in my brain, and I experienced kidney failure and respiratory failure. I had probably over 25 surgeries in that 5-month span in the hospital. And now I live my life with a purpose. The purpose is to educate others about meningitis, to answer some of the misconceptions people have about people with disabilities. I saw an editorial of the fashion designer, Carrie Hammer, where she featured a disabled model. She was in a wheelchair, and it made me so happy. I was ecstatic to see that a fashion designer thought outside of the box and featured someone with a disability. I mean, after all, people with disabilities do buy clothes too. So I was thrilled. And when I contacted her, I told her how I felt, what happened to me, how now I live with a disability, and how for the first time since my illness, I finally felt beautiful again. And she saw a picture of me, and she asked me to be one of her role models in the fashion show. Her motto is role models, not runway models. So I was the role model featured this past fall. They called me Lady in Red, and she even named the dress after me, so it's the Karen dress. I was aware of meningococcal disease, but I did not realize how severe it could be. So it was really important to me that I get involved and be an advocate, as a meningitis survivor and as a healthcare worker. The most important part of this whole thing we do is to educate people about getting their kids vaccinated. And I learned that the hard way because I was never vaccinated and because I was not aware that the vaccine existed despite being a nurse. Get educated and get vaccinated.